think we were rather successful in getting our message across. But Governor Cuomo himself is gracious enough to say there's not a person in New York that doesn't know where the Catholic Church stands on this issue. So even he admitted the effectiveness of our endeavors. But you're right. I seem to have gotten criticism from both sides. So those who disagreed with us said Dolan's too single issue, he's too aggressive on this, he's too strenuous on this, he needs to back off and put things into perspective. He seems obsessed with this. Those on the more conservative side said, boy, the church just didn't seem to be as muscular as it should be, and boy, Dolan wasn't even there up in Albany at the time. You always look back and say, could we have done something better? And I've been open to that. We've had a review. My brother bishops and I have said, could we have done this more effectively? But I think we're rather grateful for the widespread support that we got from our people. I think we are at peace that we did our best, that we got our message across. I think we're still honest. We're still very much opposed to this and worried about it. Now we're kind of very agitated about already incursions into religious freedom and the rights of conscience that even those pushing this says, you're chicken littles, don't you worry about your conscience being violated here. We're not going to ask you to do things that we know you can't, beginning to happen. We were also worried a little bit, Errol, about the process. Even, people said, why wasn't Dolan up there in Albany? Well, what good would it have done? They weren't taking calls or letting anybody in anyway. It was all pretty much done behind closed doors. I don't know if this was the purest example of a vibrant democratic process here. That would have been a referendum, which we were pushing for all along. So, sure, do you have second thoughts? I guess we all like to Monday morning quarterback things, but I'm pretty much at peace with the tactic that we took. And
the issues of conscience that you just referenced.
Yeah.
You're talking about the county clerks that...
Yeah, we're worried too, Errol. County clerks that may be forced out and kind of a dismissive attitude to that. We're still worried about implications when it comes to adoption. We're still worried about maybe some on Catholic charities, on hiring, on insurance coverage. Are we now going to be coerced to do things that we just can't in conscience do? This is more expansive, Errol, nationally now when it comes to the regulations that have just come out from the Department of Health and Human Services. This is a little different from the marriage issue here, but once again it comes under that rubric of religious freedom, rights of conscience. Is the government now forcing people of faith-based conviction to do things, especially in the area of charity, education, and health care, that we just can't do it? You heard what happened in Alabama. The religious leaders of Alabama, not just Catholic, but Jewish and Christian, other Christian leaders, are suing the governor because he's saying, we forbid you to feed undocumented immigrants. And the church said, whoa, wait a minute, this flows from our deepest religious conviction that we're to care for those who are hungry and the immigrant and the refugee. You can't tell us not to do that. That's somewhat of an unwarranted, unconstitutional intrusion. That's another example of some of the I think, intrusion that we're now getting in the rights of conscience and religious freedom that we're pretty vigilant about.
So moving forward on the issue of same-sex marriage,
Sure.
Your brother, Bishop DiMarzio, Bishop of Brooklyn, has issued to his parishes, not an order, but a suggestion, a recommendation, I guess, semi-binding at least, that they no longer invite into their schools and their parishes politicians who voted for same-sex marriage. Have you issued a
We haven't done that, but I have to say that I can see some wisdom in Bishop DiMarzio's strategy here. A lot of us, and not just the bishops, but Catholics have said, there's got to be some accountability to people who want it both ways. So if you've got a Catholic politician who likes to be in the front pew, who likes to show up at the church picnic, who likes to be there to speak and on the podium and get awards, who then, though, in other words, outwardly proclaiming that I cherish my values and I'm going to try to bring the light of the gospel and church teaching into the marketplace and into civil discourse, who then doesn't do that, should there be some accountability there? Can you have the bonus without the onus, I guess is what Bishop DiMarzio is saying. And I think it's a good question to ask.
Although you're going to handle it differently on this side.
Yeah, I would think we might have different strategies. The bishops all agree on the substance and we all agree on the important stuff. The strategy, the how-to, sometimes we might differ on.
Let me change topics here.
Please.